America as one, pulling together, coming together, and both voting for Donald Trump and also voting for majorities in the House and the Senate, again, for Republicans coming together. So we'll talk about it more. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, here today, Sandra Smith. Democratic strategist Julie Roginski, Republican strategist and Fox News contributor Lisa Booth, and today's #OneLuckyGuy, the former chief strategist for British Prime Minister David Cameron, Steve Hilton, is with us today. We love it when you're with us. Thank you.
I love being back.
There's always major news, too.
Exactly. Exciting day. So, lots to talk about.
I'm curious first to just get your overarching view of what you just heard. A tale of two speeches, but certainly a theme.
I thought, Harris, that was pretty much the perfect event for the Trump campaign. You had the impression of a team. It wasn't just Donald Trump. You had Governor Pence, I think, doing a great job there. It was focused on an issue which is a real issue for millions of Americans who are going to be voting in a few days' time, something that really affects their lives, not like some of the other stuff we've had to deal with in this election campaign, and actually setting out a really clear message, not just of what's gone wrong, but specifically how they would improve healthcare. Now, we can quibble about the details, but purely as a campaign event, I thought it was pretty spectacularly good.
All right. Well, there was one point where we all kind of sat up, and it's when Donald Trump talked about Obamacare, specifically how he sees it. Watch.
The president said, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor, which may go down as one of the great political lies of the century. Even the skeptical Democrats believed him and approved the legislation. There were Democrats that were very much against it, but they believed him and they approved it.
So, Sandra, you and I were talking just last week about the thirst for maybe more detail for his repeal and replace. Did you get it today?
Yeah, I mean, this was a really, to your point, Steve, a very powerful performance by both of them. And his running mate, Mike Pence, I think we were all sitting here listening together saying, wow, this is I mean, 7 days out, this is a pretty powerful message that they're putting out. And in fact, at one point, Pence tied both big headlines, Obamacare and Hillary Clinton's email scandal, together, saying we can't trust Hillary Clinton for our health care any more than we can trust her with classified information. That was a very calculated message that he put out as well.
So back to the little bit that we just saw, Julie, and this whole idea of the greatest, one of the great political lies of the century. What are your thoughts?
You guys, it's 7 days out. Donald Trump just pivoted. We've been waiting for the pivot all this time. This
what
is
are you
it.
talking about?
This is what
He's been giving this speech for a while.
He has, because all I've been hearing about is all I've been hearing about is him defending his himself against allegations against women. I have been paying a lot of attention, but the problem for him is he's always taken it personally. This was the substantive speech he should have been giving for the last 6 months, if not longer. And I think that's actually, I agree with you, Steve. This was a great speech. This is the speech he should have focused on. But look at the headlines that have emanated over the last few months. They haven't been this. This is exactly what he should have said all these years.
But we found out from the federal government what really is going on with a double-digit. I mean, look at Arizona, 116% in premium increase. So the news has been made in just the last few days, Julie. I would argue that this would be on time in terms of the news being made. What do you think, Lisa?
Well, I think what we saw from Donald Trump, and if there's ever a time for him to start being on message, now is the time when you're seeing
or 6 months ago.
Well, that would have been nice, but he has been giving this speech, and what's important for Donald Trump right now is sort of laying out the two visions for America. Either we're going to have someone like Hillary Clinton who is going to continue failed policies like Obamacare, and it is failed policies when you have insurance premiums increasing by double digits, and not only in Arizona over 100%, but in places like Phoenix, Arizona. I think it's
specifically
above 150% around there. So. A
lot of retirees in that state.
Exactly. So it is a failed policy. And so what Donald Trump is offering something different. And that's what he is running as a candidate, is the change agent. If you want change in America, if you're unhappy with the direction of the country, I'm something different. And we have seen a lot of lies from Democrats in terms of Obamacare. Jonathan Gruber said that Obamacare was meant to exploit the stupidity of the American people, but they're not stupid, because Democrats lost by historic margins in 2010 and 2014 because of this law. And I guarantee it's going to affect them once again in this presidential election.
But there's two problems with that. One is we've seen this campaign before. It was called the Romney Obama campaign. A lot of it's centered on Obamacare. and Mitt Romney lost that. The second problem with this is, by the way, I think this is a very strong message for Donald Trump, and it's an effective message, especially in light of the news that you just talked about, Harris. But I think the problem for Trump is not just to repeal this law, but what you're going to do to replace it. So you're not going to take away millions of people off the health care rolls that were added on. What are you going to do with those people? How are they going to get care?
Maybe we got, and Steve, maybe we got a little bit more of an idea. I mean, you heard Governor Pence talking about the Healthy Indiana plan. He went in detail. He talked about Medicaid and how it's not only broke, it's broken. I mean, he had some of those stump speech lines in there, but to actually have a plan that he could put side by side,
I thought it was much more powerful than what you're hearing from the other side. So if you look at the election as a choice, everyone is agreeing that there's a fundamental problem with Obamacare. The Clinton campaign agrees with that, because you can see...
Even when they tried to silence Bill Clinton, he was trying to say it.
Right. Exactly, and you can just see in the real world, people are really suffering because of the payments. And so what you get from them is really vague in terms of what they would do to fix it. Whereas at least here, you've got health savings accounts, you've got more competition, you've got the principles of real reform.
In fairness, she has been incredibly specific about changes that she would make to this law, including an individual payer. Not single payer, but incredibly specific. You should go to her website. He's been very non-specific.
Different from single payer.
All he wants to do, very different from single payer. All he wants to do is repeal it. What's he replacing it with?
Yeah, you know what the problem is right now? That's not what she's talking about.
It's not. She's talking about something totally unrelated.
Emails. We'll move on. 7 days from now, we will know who our next president will be. But until then, the renewed Hillary Clinton email probe promises to remain front and center. We have the very latest, including whether we can expect FBI Director James Comey to release more details on the case. Stay close.
Election day, and until then, the renewed Hillary Clinton email probe promises to remain at the center of the 2016 race. The FBI is said to be using a computer program to sift through the thousands of emails which were found on a laptop belonging to disgraced Congressman Anthony Weiner, the estranged husband of Hillary's longtime aide, Huma Abedin. Leading experts telling the Wall Street Journal that while the most relevant emails could be pinpointed by Election Day, analysis will take longer, and the outcome of the probe likely will not be known until after all the votes have been cast. Meantime, reports indicate FBI Director James Comey is not expected to release any more details until the review is complete, and Donald Trump is ramping up his attacks over this email issue. The Republican nominee is citing one of Clinton's longtime supporters. Democrat Doug Schoen worked in Bill Clinton's White House for 6 years. He recently explained why he no longer feels he can vote for her.
He wrote a recent article. He said, "I'm a Democrat. I work for Bill Clinton, but I can't vote for Hillary." He went on, "I'm now convinced," so important, folks, this is so important, because our country has enough problems. He said, "I'm now convinced that we will be facing the very possibility of a constitutional crisis with many dimensions and you know, this is so true, deleterious consequences should Secretary Clinton win this election."
And Hillary Clinton also continues to raise the issue on the campaign trail, stridently denying any wrongdoing.
I'm sure a lot of you may be asking what this new email story is about and why in the world the FBI would decide to jump into an election with no evidence of any wrongdoing with just days to go. Now they apparently want to look at emails of one of my staffers, and by all means, they should look at them. And I am sure they will reach the same conclusion they did when they looked at my emails for the last year. There is no case here.
All right, Steve, let's start with that first. Hillary Clinton saying, nothing to see here. I mean, they're denying everything.
Yeah, I don't think it's surprising. She's got to say something. But I think both candidates would be making a really big mistake if they went on about this. I think that for Trump, it's obviously better for him to be talking about her scandals than his own scandals, and we've seen far too much of that in this election campaign. But it's even better for him to be talking about the issues, because his message of change is really powerful, as we saw that earlier with Obamacare. And so if they think that they just need to keep going after Obamacare's done today and tomorrow it's back onto emails, That's a really big mistake.
I mean, you just called what we heard from Donald Trump a pivot, Julie.
Yeah.
And he stuck to his message, that is Obamacare. Newt Gingrich, who is a Donald Trump supporter, sat on this couch a couple weeks ago and said, I wish he would just stick to Obamacare, okay, instead of talking about the scandals. It appears he is staying on that message. What do you make of their strategies, 7 days?
I agree with everything that Steve just said. He should stick to either Obamacare or some other substantive issue, because people are voting based on what is going to affect their pocketbooks, what's going to affect their lives. The one thing I'm going to say about this newest email scandal is, for example, if another woman came out and said Donald Trump inappropriately harassed me, is that really going to make any supporter of Donald Trump suddenly say, okay, forget it, one more woman, I'm not going to do it? The same thing with the emails. Is it really, if you're voting based on emails, you're already not voting for Hillary Clinton. So you're absolutely right. What he needs to do, is he needs to go back and focus on issues that people do care about. He's already got
scoop up independents and maybe some of those undecided.
He's already got the people who are not voting for him based on the email scandal.
So the FBI, go ahead.
For Donald Trump, I think all he needs to do with this is say, for the first time in American history, we have a major party nominee who's facing a federal investigation by the FBI, and if elected, would also be facing twice, or an ongoing investigation, and if elected as President of the United States, will continue to be facing a federal investigation by the FBI. And make no mistake about it, the only person Hillary Clinton has to blame is herself, and she wants to talk about breaking protocol. Well, guess what? She broke protocol when she took the unprecedented action of setting up a private email server, private email address, using that exclusively, deleting tens of thousands of emails using software so forensic evidence couldn't recover it, and then lying about it and stonewalling the entire time. And the DOJ, Loretta Lynch has nowhere to look either but herself, because she is the one who compromised the integrity of the Department of Justice by meeting on a plane with Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Wow. Lisa's been fired up about this.
I wasn't even going to step into that. I will say this, though. With Doug Schoen, who we know him well. He's a Fox News contributor. He's been friends with the Clintons for more than 2 decades, in the White House with Bill Clinton for 6 years, so on and so forth. For him to step back and say he's reconsidering, he told me yesterday it's not that he's not just going to vote for Hillary Clinton. For the first time in his professional life, he's not going to vote at all. And it makes you wonder how many people would look at this. Julie, I understand those who may love her and nothing could ever make them go away. But those who want to be responsible in their vote want to see this legal process play out. So President Obama, Hillary Clinton could step up and say, there will be no pardons in the future. We want this to play out so you can see exactly what happens.
Look, on a personal level, I love Doug Schoen, and he's a good friend.
Well, what do you think about that?
I think that polling doesn't reflect that Doug Schoen is in the majority here, or even in a vast minority here.
We don't know yet, though.
Well, we do.
Baked in polling.
We have.
And the race is already tightening.
We do. The race was tightening because Republicans were starting to come home regardless of this email scandal.
56% of Americans after saying that they wish that FBI director had made a mistake not recommending an indictment, including 60% of Americans and 30% of Democrats.
Look at the Politico Morning Consult poll. She was up by 3 before. She was up by 3 later. I don't see anything.
Wait till the middle of the week.
I don't see anything. What is the middle of the week? I don't see anything tightening necessarily in all the swing states. She's still up in North Carolina.
Polling overnight, he's up a point. But
he is, and I can give you many polls where she's up a lot.
I'm just saying, you got to let this legal process play out.
Donald Trump is spending time slamming the mainstream media after hacked emails appear to show DNC chairwoman Donna Brazile, a former CNN contributor, she is no longer, tipped off Clinton allies about another primary debate question. Is he right to be upset? And why did it take CNN so long to cut ties with Brazile?
Growing questions of mainstream media bias now after CNN cut ties with interim DNC chairwoman Donna Brazile, who served as an on-air political analyst for CNN. It happened after hacked emails from WikiLeaks appear to show she tipped off Clinton allies about a second primary debate question. But White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest is defending Brazile.
The president believes that she's done a fine job stepping in a very difficult situation to lead the Democratic Party. Look, those of us who've known Donna a long time know that she is a person of integrity and a person of high character. She's a true professional who is a tenacious and effective advocate for Democrats.
Code perhaps where you have a job at least through the election. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is slamming Brazile and the media.
It just came out, you see, Donna Brazile was fired from the network for giving crooked Hillary the answers and the questions to a debate. The media, which is one of the most dishonest groups of people ever you're ever going to meet. They don't say, who cares about Donna Brazile? Who cares? What I care about is Hillary Clinton gets the questions to a debate. That's a big deal. And then what happens is the media, they never say, why didn't you turn it in?
Now we are learning CNN President Jeff Zucker reportedly described Brazile's interactions as unethical and disgusting during an editorial meeting today, according to a source with knowledge of the matter.
Okay, but what about Hillary Clinton's actions? I mean, are they going to say anything there? Because Donald Trump just asked the question, how come you aren't hearing the media question why she didn't turn it in, the fact that she was receiving these questions from Donna Brazile? I mean, it's unbelievable. If this was Donald Trump, would it be much different?
That leaves us dumbfounded because what politician would really, I don't know, go on.
I don't know. I think that actually on this one, describing it as media bias isn't quite right. It seems to me that CNN have a perfect right to feel let down by Donna Brazile about the way she behaved. And to me, this speaks to a slightly different point, but a really important one, which is this sense that especially in Washington, the media, the journalists, the lobbyists, the political operatives, the candidates, the politicians, they're all too cozy with each other. They're all moving in the same social circles. They're all hanging out. And that's the kind of insular ruling elite that I think is described as the establishment, whatever you want to call it. I think this speaks to that because she's just in the thick of it there.
Is it
we don't
like
know how
that
she got
in the
question.
UK?
It is exactly like that.
Oh.
It's exactly like that everywhere.
That's how you know.
And I think that's what's going on. I mean, with this, in a way, it's a fundamental point about this election, is that you've seen people really stand up and saying, we are sick of that. We know that you're all hanging out with each other, doing things, scratching each other's backs, moving from your job in government to business to lobbying and back and round again. This is all part of that. That's what I think this is.
Yeah, and what's so interesting about what you're saying is why wouldn't, and I understand that Hillary Clinton doesn't want the distraction of this going on right now, but why wouldn't they just let her go from the DNC? And I know it's a week out, but they've already had another chair. I mean, it's not like it's breaking news that they would have another chair. But why not make a stand, as Steve is saying, and say, no, we're going to stand on principle and we'll get another interim?
Because ultimately, besides all of us in the media / political zeitgeist, who cares? I mean, that's the problem.
Really,
Yes,
really?
And I'll tell you why. When I said that Donald Trump should have been focusing on things that he focused on today in his speech, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Do you think one voter gives a you-know-what about the fact that Donna Brazile may have leaked something to the detriment of Bernie Sanders? I, by the way, think that what she did was horrible. I agree with what Jeff Zucker said. He should probably take a look at Corey Lewandowski still being on his payroll. But what it doesn't do, but let me tell you what it doesn't do first.
I'll tell you what it does.
What it doesn't do is make one person who's predisposed or undecided in this case say, you know what, because Donna Brazile gave the tip off to Hillary Clinton.
TyJyoung.net.
Wow, this was fun. Thanks for being here. So good to have you, Steve Hilton.
It was fun. A week to go.
Anytime. Yeah.
Very exciting.
1 week. And just a few minutes for us to pop up online, Outnumbered Overtime, foxnews.com/outnumbered. Click on the Overtime tab. Now, happening now.
Very great honor, believe me. I'd also like to thank Dr. Ben Carson. Not only a great man, and I don't say that about a lot of people, but one of the toughest competitors I've ever faced. People don't know how well he did during those primaries. And I just kept looking back, and I just kept seeing him. And boy, I'll tell you. But even more importantly, he is a brilliant physician. And I hope he will be very much involved with my administration in the coming years. Okay? Thank you. I'd also like to recognize the distinguished members of Congress in attendance who have all been at the forefront of health care and have been so helpful to me. Congresswomen Elmers, Loomis, Congressman Price Harris, Burgess, and Desjardins. And let me give a special thanks to Senator Barrasso, a terrific doctor, a Senate leader, who did incredible work chairing our platform committee. Just unbelievable work. So I want to thank you very much, Senator. Fantastic job. And been very, very loyal to what we're doing and what we represent. So thank you, Senator. When we win on November 8th, and elect a Republican Congress, we will be able to immediately repeal and replace Obamacare. Have to do it. I will ask Congress to convene a special session so we can repeal and replace. And it will be such an honor for me, for you, and for everybody in this country, because Obamacare has to be replaced. And we will do it, and we will do it very, very quickly. It is a catastrophe. The president said, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, or certainly very few people, the 2,100-page bill. To this day, nobody understands it. The Obama administration is just, of course, in the future, if I'm president, there won't be Obamacare, so you won't have to worry about it. That means parents won't have enough money to pay. Other states are going up more than 60, 70, 80, 90. Deductibles can go to $12,000. $13,000, $14,000, even $15,000. In other words, your health care won't even be usable. In many instances, is a first in American history. This is particularly unfair to millennials and younger Americans generally, who will be totally crushed by these massive health care costs before they even get started on their journey through life. 1/3 of the counties, think of this, 1/3 of the counties in Pennsylvania will have only a single insurance company left, if you have that. That includes Philadelphia, where I went to school. The Associated Press found that some of the 440,000 Pennsylvania consumers who healthcare.gov will face some of the highest premium increases in the nation. People of Philadelphia. Insurers are leaving, premiums are soaring, doctors are quitting, companies are fleeing, and deductibles go through the roof. Workers' hours higher prices, fewer choices, and lower quality. Yet Hillary Clinton wants to expand Obamacare. If we don't repeal and replace Obamacare, we will destroy American health care forever. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Our replacement plan includes health savings accounts, a nationwide insurance market where you can purchase across state lines, and letting states manage Medicaid dollars. So much better. We will create quality, reliable, affordable health care in a free market where parents can make the health care decisions that they really want to make for their families. It will be a much better health care at a much less expensive cost. We've also outlined detailed solutions on so many other issues to make life better for every American family. And while this is really, thank you. While this we are going to bring manufacturing jobs, lots of jobs, back to Pennsylvania. We're going to do it, and it won't even be difficult. We're going to open modern mines and take care of our great miners. Our miners have been mistreated horribly. We will be producing clean coal, oil, natural gas, and shale energy. We're also bringing back our steel workers who have been so badly hurt, whose jobs have been stolen by the dumping of steel all over this state and, frankly, all over this country by China and other countries. Nobody has been treated worse than these workers, but that will change on January 20th of next year, believe me. It will change. We're also going to provide the children of the state with school choice, so important. That means parents can spend and take care of their children, but they can send their kids to public school, to private, to charter, to magnet, to religious, or to homeschool. It's going to be their right, and it's going to be something that's so, so good for your children and for the education of your children. We will also totally eliminate Common Core and bring education local. We're going to bring it local. Good. People do not like Common Core in this country, that I can tell you. And our system is failing, so it's obviously not working. We're going to eliminate Common Core. We're going to bring it local. Our tax plan will provide a 35% tax cut to middle-class families with 2 kids. As an example, you have 2 kids, 35% cut, so desperately needed. Our middle class has not been properly respected, that I can tell you. We will let parents deduct child care expenses from their taxes and create tax-free child care and elder care savings accounts with matching contributions for low-income families. We will eliminate the Obama-Clinton defense sequester and rebuild our badly depleted military. When did we ever need it more? Greatest people on earth in our military, but it's badly depleted. Thank you. People love this country, don't they? Isn't it beautiful, right? Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to watch and to see, and I see it all over the country, no matter where we go. And every time I say we are going to rebuild our depleted military, it's always the same response. It's an incredible response. Our Navy is the smallest it's been since World War I. Think of that. Smallest since World War I. And rebuilding it will require a national effort. That's why I will ask my Secretary of the Navy to review facilities like the Philadelphia Navy Yard. I know it well. With a long history of service to our Navy, proximity to vibrant private industry, and room for expansion to enlist them in the rebuilding of what will be a great fleet again. To recruit master craftsmen, this buildup requires, and we will establish, centers of excellence at locations like the Philadelphia Navy Yard. Vocational training is a great thing. We don't do it anymore. We don't do it anymore. And I must tell you, so often in going to college, right down the road, in going to college, we'd have people that were brilliant, and we'd had other people that weren't as brilliant in that way, but were brilliant, incredible, when it came to fixing a motor, when it came to fixing something that I had no idea what was happening, and other great geniuses had no idea what was happening, and they could take it apart blindfolded. And we don't do that anymore. Vocational training for our country is so, so, so important. And just in closing that, and they loved it. They loved it. They didn't want to be doing what I was doing. They loved it. They were so good at it, and they loved it. So vocational training, we're going to start it up bigly. We will rebuild our military, and we will rebuild our country. I'm not a politician. My only special interest is you, the American people. That's why I've done it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. The guiding rule of the political class in Washington, D.C. is that they are looking out only for themselves, with the exception of these few people. I feel guilty as I'm looking, they're staring me in the eyes. So I have to say, with these exceptions. They will say anything and do anything and cling to their power and prestige and reverse decades of failure, and to work with the American people to create generations of success. I'm running to restore honesty to our government and safety to our communities. We need safety. And by the way, our law enforcement officials, these are great, great people. Thank you. And we are going to give great prosperity to our economy. I want to go into our poorest communities and work on a national plan of revitalization, the inner cities. And I've been working with so many African-American groups. These are such incredible people. We've been talking about it, working on it. We're going to bring jobs into the inner cities. We're going to bring safety. We're going to bring education, good schools into the inner city. The spirit of the people in the inner cities is beyond the spirit of anybody. And it's going to work. It's going to work. You watch. Americans are tired of being told to defer their dreams to another day. But politicians, for the most part, really mean another decade, because that's what they're talking about. Enough waiting. Time is now. But to accomplish our goals, We must cut our ties with the small, bitter, petty politics of the past. We must declare our independence from a failed establishment that has squandered $6 trillion on foreign wars in the Middle East that never end, that we never win, and that have made us far less safe. Think of it. Think of all the money that's spent, all the lives that have been lost, and we're far less safe today than we were before we started. They've left our borders wide open at home and shipped our jobs and wealth to other countries. It's time for new leadership. I've led a great life, and I truly love our country. So now I want to give back to the country that's been so good to me. That's why I'm doing this. All I see everywhere I travel in this nation, and I've been everywhere, is untapped potential waiting to be realized. The people are amazing. The people are amazing. If we unlock the potential of these incredible people, no dream is outside of our reach. I'm asking you to dream big, to push for bold change, and to believe in a movement and our love for our country. That is how we will truly make America great again. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. Thank you.